Hello, Shri Mataji again. We took a
Thank
short
you.
break, so we'll continue with your stories of some dreams of.
And we were just, so we'll continue on, and you were about to tell us about something special at Kurukshetra.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the 1993 India tour. At the same time, it could have been the 1997 India tour. Either way, we on the tour of these uh, immeasurably significant spiritual sites, we went to Kurukshetra, which I understand is in Haryana,
Yes.
north of Delhi, on the
And
Ganges
this
Plain.
is the site. You're going to tell us why this is special.
Well, it features in the Mahabharata,
That's
which
where the
is
Battle of Mahabharata took place in
yeah, which was
Kurukshetra.
a big battle of uh, ballistic ballistic proportions between tens of thousands of
Yeah.
opposing armies. The Pandavas, supported by Sri Krishna, then playing the role as the charioteer of Arjuna, and then opposing the Kauravas,
Yeah.
who I like the baddies, you could say. So the
Could
Kauravas
The
were
say
Adamic,
in
the
power.
Adamic cousins,
yeah,
the
yeah,
cousins to
That's it.
Adamic.
yeah.
Adamic.
But that's an incredibly simplistic thing. But I've just wanted to just where I was talking about where the divine was pitching it at the middle classes, which you're absolutely right. It's available to everyone. I really must stress that. But it would seem that at that particular time the people that were coming in internationally were from a middle class background, essentially as a generalization. What I wanted to say now is Shri gave a public program in Kurukshetra on that India tour, and it was evening time, and there was a lot of sadhus about, a lot of sannyasis.
Sadhus and sannyasis are ascetics in our
Yeah,
Who've just given up,
yeah,
who've
yeah,
given up
householding, everything.
household,
yeah.
regular life, and they've taken to just meditation and seeking God.
Yeah, they'd renounced the material world and their
Yes.
families. There was quite a lot of them there, and I could only imagine that there was some particular occasion to be celebrated as to why they were there. But then, of course, Shri Mataji was going to be there. So whether they consciously or unconsciously knew that, I don't know. But it was an evening program. It was in a pendle. It was dusk, and there was a lot of Saj yogis on the tour there from all different countries. And Shri Mataji hadn't quite arrived yet. And I was inside the pendle, and I looked back at the entrance of the pendle, and there was a couple of sadhus standing to one side of the entrance. And I could see that they were deliberating on whether they should enter the pendle and for Shmati's public program or not. I could see them hesitating and deliberating between themselves. And I went over to them. I said, my Hindi's rubbish. I said, come on, come in, come in. You can come in because there wasn't any sadhus in there. Everyone was nicely turned out Hindus, uh, Indians, and the Western yogis on the tour, and they would have appeared out of place. That's why they were hesitant about coming in. I said, no, 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 it's free. Come on, come in, come in. So I encouraged them to.
So these were sadhus who were dressed up with their hair up in top
Yeah,
knots and ashes on their face and very simple
And
clothing.
ochre garment, yes, they have their orange cloth, so
Yes,
you're not in
yes,
regular.
yes.
Yeah.
and they came in, a couple of them, two or three of them, and everyone sat down. Shri came. She talked. She went through the affirmations. She raised everybody's kundalinis. I mean, I don't know how many were there. Maybe 1,000 people, 2,000. I'm not sure. I can't remember. And at the end of it, she actually cured a lady of blindness. I remember that. But as at the end of the affirmations and raising the kundalini, because you keep your eyes closed and you put your hand up, see if you can feel your kundalini coming out top of your head, and then you open your eyes. And after the affirmations, and when I opened my eyes, I could see these sadhus. They weren't that far away from me, like sitting bolt upright in the lotus position. They were completely in meditation. And as I opened my eyes and looked at them, and then I looked around at everyone else in the audience, in the crowd, I saw it was a vision that everybody was equal in the eyes of God. Doesn't matter who you were, sadhu, rich, poor, well-to-do, middle class, government servant, businessman, householder. They're all one, and I could see it in my enlightened attention. It was like a little vision.
You could feel it. You could feel
Yeah,
it from within.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
This sense of oneness that we were
yeah,
all. What a beautiful feeling
yeah,
to feel that,
It
because
was-
you are feeling
yeah,
part of
yeah.
humanity that God loves
All
equally.
of them, all of them, didn't matter. And of course, that would be a big thing for the sadhus, because that's what
That's what
they're
they're
looking.
seeking.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
they're seeking. Yeah.
Okay,
Um.
next.
Anyway, that's
Did you see that they have any? You didn't see that if they had any reaction
they
afterwards?
just
Or,
sat there for ages afterwards, like statues in meditation. Yeah, I didn't disturb them. I didn't want to. I just let them.
no,
Everyone else was milling around. They were just sitting there, bolt upright. It
their
was
attention must have
Taking
been
it
so
all in.
strong.
Taking it all
yeah,
in.
yeah. It was really good. Just
Beautiful.
just I just recount a couple of dreams, and then I've got a little Sri Hanumana experience on an India tour. So basically, then from basically 1993 right up to 2001, I was going to Cabela a lot for the puja season, um, and I was
Every
had a
summer,
job.
every summer. So every summer
Yeah.
from like
Yeah,
May
every
to
summer.
August.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got myself a job, various jobs. I was looking quite respectable, quite normal, really. I was
You bought some new clothes.
bought some new clothes. Was living in South London. Just going to Flood Street every Saturday night with the see the collective and whatnot. And I had a few dreams. One of them was I was on some stone steps, quite deep treads, quite wide steps, deep treads between the low risers, and I was sitting on one of the treads on the steps, and then Shri Mataji was sitting below me, a couple of steps down. And I thought, hello, I can't sit higher than her. So I shuffled down to the step below her. Then she shuffled down to the step below me. And then I shuffled down to a couple of steps below her. And then she shuffled down to below me. In the end, we ended up lying around on the floor, just cracked up laughing. We're just laughing at ourselves. So it's just a bit of humour there to show Shri Mataji, that the divine is everywhere.
And it felt so. We often have, not often, but sometimes we have dreams with Shri Mataji in them. And sometimes we have an off dream and you feel like this actually isn't Shri Mataji. But when it is her in the dream, you really know that this is her. Because when you wake up, you feel like Mother's blessed you in your being. So this is one of those dreams that Mother was sharing humor with you. So sweet. And she was very humorous. People don't see that because mostly we watch the public programs or the pujas. And, the early pujas, you can see Mother's sense of humor because she could crack a joke or say something or be playful as was needed in the room at that time. And so what a sweet thing that she's sharing with you.
When you dream in the deep sleep, in the Sushupti sleep, then very often you'll dream of the divine. That's when you're in the present, in the dream state, in the present. Whereas if you're dreaming off about the past or what was going to happen in the future, you're either side. You're not in the center, in the Sushupti, in the deep sleep. But yes, that's it. When you dream of the divine, I just wanted to flip to. I was on the tube. I was teaching English, an English language school in Oxford Street in the mid 90s. I mean, the only good thing about it was I was earning money and I had an opportunity to give self-realization in the English classes. But other than that, I hated the job. because I was going into Oxford Street from South London on the bus and the tube, and I'm not a city person, to be honest. I mean, I should be able to cope to any environment, but I don't really do cities particularly well. Anyway, must be because of living on the road. Anyway, so I'm on the tube every morning and on the underground. Of course, it's all very close-hearted. Nobody's talking to each other. Nobody wants to go to work. You know, computer misery. And I'm reading
Commuter misery.
Commuter Misery, and I'm reading a Penguin translation of the Quran because I thought I really ought to get my head around some of the scriptures and the holy books. So I was doing that. I was really enjoying it, and of course, I mean, I haven't read it for a long time, but the Quran is all about the chosen ones and being blessed with eternal life in heaven, in gardens, the eternal gardens of orchards fed by running streams and bathed in glorious light and in God's realm and in God's heaven. That's
Milk
what.
and honey also.
Oh yeah, the land of milk and honey, and being surrounded by celestial virgins and all this. And it's all about the rewards if you devote your life to Allah. Essentially, but it also includes the Torah, which is the Old Testament. Anyway, so I'm reading it in the mornings. Then one night I got this dream that I'm in this beautiful valley, this Himalayan. It was the Kashmir. It was the Kashmir, and it was bathed in this golden light, and nearby was this big house, typical Kashmiri structure, pitched roofs with big stone slate roof coverings, jetted first floor, rock and cob and timbers, classic northwest Indian, Himalayan, Pakistani architecture. Classic, beautiful, big house, beautiful condition. Just beautiful walled garden, beautiful laid out flower beds, all lovely done in the Islamic way. Beautiful manicured fruit trees, this beautiful flowing rivers and streams, lovely. And then I was living in this bit of a shambles of a place. I mean, similar architecture, but a lot smaller, very dirty, not nice. I was living in that at the time, and in the dream,
In your dream.
and then what it was, some realized souls, I'd imagine they were yogis, had come to visit, and so I took them for a tour round the valley, bathed in golden light, and we stepped into this transparent. It was a push puck, basically, into this transparent
a flying
aerial vehicle.
flying,
Yeah,
aerial
a
vehicle.
very low slides. You could step into it, and I knew it was transparent. You could see the stream of eternal life, freshly bubbling water behind where it was parked, because you could see the stream through the structure of the aerial chariot, the vehicle.
Wow.
And we got in it, and I was driving. I mean, I didn't really have to drive, but we got in it, and my visitors, my guests had got in it, and off we shot. We flew around this beautiful
So
cat.
how did it work? You just wanted it to fly, and it just lifted off and flew.
Took off. It just kind of went wherever you wanted it to go, really, and then it gently landed, and then we all disembarked, and the dream ended. So, and what it was basically it had all been triggered by reading the Quran about the promised land of milk and honey, Kashmir, and all that, and translating into this aerial chariot and this beautiful golden light that just surrounded us. And I was floating after that dream for quite some days.
So you felt like you'd actually been there in this,
I was in it.
The promised land, promised land.
And of course, it is the Kashmir is the promised land. I mean, that's where Moses ended up. Although he never got to enter it. He died at the border of it, at the mouth of
That's
the
where he was taking the people to the promised land, the promised land of Kashmir.
The Jews.
I think isn't Jesus? Isn't the Mother Mary was buried there?
It is in the it's the politically controversial area now. It's what's called the Pakistan occupied Kashmir region,
Oh, interesting, but it's there.
But it is
Right.
there in Murray, in the village of
Yeah.
Murray, which is where Mother Mary lived.
I mean, it's amazing as yogis, we can have these extremely vivid,
Yeah,
enlightening dreams. And
absolutely.
it's incredible that I guess it's the unconscious that your mother just transporting you there.
Mm.
Continue. I'm waiting to hear.
Actually, Baba, my father, actually worked in the Kashmir Valley. They set up a training institute for the Geological Survey of India in Ashmakam, and yeah, the valley you saw in the dream is where my father actually worked with his
So
colleagues.
it's like a real valley, but
Yeah.
in your dream, it's imbued with
Yes.
the vibrations
light.
and the energy and the spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah. How beautiful. Beautiful. Next, please.
Well, just a very quick one. I'm pretty sure this is the 1997 India tour. What could be considered the last India tour with Shri Mataji, and she didn't spend a lot of time with us at the individual locations that we went to, but we had Havan and Puja at every location to clear any negativities of those particular places that we visited, working very, very intensely on the subtle level. And what she did, and this is the beauty of India, she'd hired trains.
Yeah.
She'd hired a train.
So this time you traveled on trains, not buses.
You might,
Not rickety bumpy buses.
Buses, yeah.
she'd either hired
The
an entire
compartments,
train or
probably.
she'd
Yeah,
hired
the trains are very long.
a
It
couple
might
of
be a few
carriages.
compartments.
I
Yeah,
can't remember,
carriages,
but
yeah.
it was just a classic India. Right? Anything's possible in India if you've got the right intention. It'll work for you. That's how the divine runs the country.
Well, actually, having said that, Dr. Nigam did mention about hiring trains because of some relative.
Who
They
had that connection.
yes, that's true. Yeah. Okay, go on.
So
Sorry.
it's all these international yogis with some Indian yogis, Adishakti helping us out, looking after us. They were such lovely hosts. And anyway, there were other people that were on this tour. They'll vouch. They'll tell a different story. Maybe I'm just trying to drag it out of my memory. But basically, we're on this railway station platform, and there was a lot of luggage. I mean, each Western yogi, probably the men were traveling a bit lighter, but the ladies, the yoginis, they probably had a couple of big suitcases each. I mean, it was like a 3-week tour around India. You know, you've got to look smart, public programs like the saris and whatnot. And there was a lot of luggage, and they actually had a whole truck just for the suitcases. They might even have had 2 trucks. And of course, the boys, the men, they helped the Indian yogi men load them up. But at the same time, the men were helping to load and unload the train carriages. Anyway, we were in this station, I don't know where it was, and we had to there was some confusion, and we had to change platforms. So, and we didn't have a lot of time. And so rather than convoy each man take 2 cases down that platform, up over the pedestrian bridge, onto the other platform opposite, and then walk up to the right position on the platform to line up with the coach when the coach of the train when it came in. We decided to do a couple of chains across the railway tracks, and then manhandle the cases from man to man along the chain onto the other platform.
So it's like a relay of luggage.
Yeah, it's
basically.
a relay of luggage.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, no, I get it. It's like
yeah. So that in itself was very ambitious, and of course, the well, of course, the railway track and the ballast between the rails wasn't the cleanest, being a station, and so it's pretty dirty. Anyway, the men managed to handle the cases onto the opposite platform remarkably, and it was like, wow. Then we all got onto that platform. We all jumped up onto that platform, and we realised that the cases were going to be in the wrong place. We had to then move the cases up the other end of the platform, and we never thought of this. But I'm thinking, blimey, the clock's ticking here. That train's coming in a minute. there's no way we're going to get that pile of cases. It was a big pile of suitcases. I mean, it got to be 30, I don't know, 30, 40 cases, big ones, heavy. How are the men going to walk all them cases up to the other end of that platform? I just didn't know how we were going to
there were
do
no
it.
wheelers, were there?
No,
So
we
you couldn't
didn't.
wheel them.
Well, some, I think.
No, in those days we
Porters.
didn't really have wheels on the cases.
Yeah, and we had some porters with the barrows and all that. We tried to engage some of them, but of course you get into the haggling and all that. So the men decided to take 2 cases each and walk them up the other end of the platform, because the platform was busy anyway with Indian
Yes,
citizens,
it's very
passengers.
busy in platform.
And we were really struggling, and then we dropped the cases off and we'd go back to pick up some more. And as this was going on, I'm thinking, we ain't gonna do this. We ain't gonna do this. And I dumped my cases off and I was going back for more. More men were coming up along the platform, weaving in and out of the Indians on the platform with their cases. I'm thinking, we're not going to get this done. We're not going to get this done. And as I was thinking that, I was aware of this whooshing above my head, above us, this whooshing sound in the air, in the ether. I was aware of it. And towards the end of this task that was set upon us, I got to the end where the pile of suitcases was, and there was nothing there. There was nothing there. It was Sri Hanumana. He'd taken all them cases that were still left and he'd taken them up above our heads, because you couldn't see him, but I could feel him whooshing along. And
Wow.
and then I walked back, because the pile wasn't there anymore, and I walked back to where the pile was now. I looked at it, I just went, that's not possible. There's no way those men could have done that. And it was
In that
definitely
time.
Hanumana above us.
Wow,
And I think
Jai Shri
that's when I
Hanuman.
first met, well, in one of those, on that tour, I met Baba Mama for the first time. But I was very close to him. I didn't meet him, but I mean, I'd seen him before hosting with Neil Mal Sangeet, the Sargega
Sarita.
Bhajan group at the Pujas. But there was one station and Baba Mama was just behind me. He was talking to some other yogis and I was just minding my own business. And he was behind me. I heard his voice. And as I heard his voice, I just felt elevated. Now, I felt this big rush of vibrations. I just felt elevated. I mean, I didn't take off or anything, but
No.
I went whoosh, a big whoosh,
Yeah.
and I looked behind, and it was him. And then later on in the tour, I did have a few words, but yeah, it was some lovely magic. It was real magic,
There was magic on those tours.
Oh,
Yeah.
magic, yeah.
And you and I always felt that when I came into Sat Yoga early on, that after you get your realization, Mother takes you to these depths and these places and these feelings that you couldn't have imagined you
Yes.
could feel. And especially in India, I felt that, like, you touch you I mean, I just can't put it into words, but you touch these depths and you get these. I mean, this is the world of the spirit, you're beyond the words. And I realized that the world of the spirit is vast. And it's like we're in this small plane, kind of pushed down by our agyas and our thoughts and everything. And then you go beyond that, and this whole different world that gives you these really deep experiences, and where anything is possible because you're in
Yes.
the realm of the spirit. Oh, that's a lovely story to share. Thank you.
Well,
I'm
well,
waiting for the one about your wife. The dream of
okay.
Sushmita.
I'll just put that one in. Well, at least with this Zoom thing, they can always press pause, can't you? If you're a viewer,
Yes.
too much.
Don't worry,
pause,
we're just
make yourself a cup of
recording,
tea, come back.
and people can watch and enjoy at their
Yeah.
leisure in the way that they
I
can.
will do,
Okay,
I
so
will
here we go into the next one.
This a very quick one now, because I can't go into the detail. It's not appropriate. But I'm getting close to the year 2000. I'm in my back garden in South London and I'm digging over my potato patch. It's a nice sunny afternoon. I think it was a Sunday, and I'm on my own in the house, and I'm digging the potatoes over. I get up, stretch my back. It drops into my head that I'm going to marry an Indian woman, and I'm thinking, what's this? I'm already married, and I was already married then. I was married for 7 years. I thought I was already married. I thought,
So this is 2000. So
Yeah.
at some point
yeah,
you had got married,
Yeah.
not to a Sahajogi, but to somebody else.
it was 1990. 19. It was actually off the back of that 1993. It was at that 1993 India tour I got married.
So you'd met someone and
Who was
but not
meditating? Yeah, who was meditating on, and she was on that tour. But I won't go into that.
no.
But
I
point
just
is,
would-
I got married in 1993 India tour, Ganapatipulli,
yeah.
and then of 1993, 7 years later, South London, in the house that we shared, digging over the potatoes, straightening up, little Robin on the fork, the gardening fork, and you're going to marry an Indian woman. I'm thinking, what? But I'm already married. Why would I want to marry? Why am I going to marry an Indian woman? Anyway, very shortly, the marriage broke down. I won't go into the details, but the marriage broke down very shortly. I left that house in South London and I went to stay with some Sahajogis in Norbury. There was a collective house there. It's just down the road from Lynn and Wolfgang Osterhauser in Norbury. And I'd rented a little box room. I'd got my car. I'd filled it up with my carpentry tools. I'd got my 2 dogs and I was staying there. A little box room. I had about 2 months there. It was about there. I'll tell you what, it was when the 2 towers got hit by Osama bin Laden and
2001.
yeah,
2001.
2001.
Yeah,
That's
September,
it. Yeah,
11th September 2001. I remember I was in Delhi at that time. Me and my brother, we were in an apartment in Delhi. I come back from work and my brother was watching the news and we'd watch some movies together. But as I walked in, I saw these planes just dashing into those twin towers. I couldn't believe. I thought there's a movie going on, but it was that horrendous episode of the Twin Towers, wasn't it? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was living there with some.
He digresses like you.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I was living there, staying there with some young yogis, some lovely people, and I had a dream. I had a dream of I was sitting down on this red rocky ground, arid red rocky ground in India. And I was in white curtain pajamas, no holes. And there was a couple of other European yogis with me in the similar attire. And we were sitting down cross-legged on the ground chatting. Now, when I woke up, I knew where I was. I was in Ganapatipulli at the back of the beach, Sahaja Yoga International Seminar at the end of an India tour, which I wasn't on that India tour, but I went anyway to Ganapatipulli because following this is in the right. Anyway, so I had this dream, was sitting down, and then it was a lovely blue sky, and there's 3 of us sitting down, 3 men, and then out of the blueness appeared this beautiful young woman wearing a blue sari with a gold border, and she had this beautiful smile, and this light was just radiating from her, and she appeared if by magic, poof, and she come out of the blue with her hands like this beautiful smile. And as she got closer to me, she bends over, and then poof, this silver plate with beautiful food, she offers it to me. I'm still sitting down with the lads, and as she does, I do namaskar to her feet. And as I'm coming up from namaskar, which is bowing down, she then recedes, this beautiful smile, this beautiful sort of waving hand gesture, and poof, disappears. And I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking, who the hell was that? I'm thinking, it can't be a deity. She hasn't got enough pairs of hands, because usually, she actually does those Shimakali, they got, whatever, really pairs of arms, and and she wasn't dressed like a deity. I mean, she was radiating beautiful light, but she wasn't dressed like a deity.
And the ornament.
And she didn't have the ornamentation of a deity. I thought, oh, she must be some kind of celestial being or something, you know, heavenly being. And, you know, I was quite taken aback the whole thing. And that was the end of that. Yeah, that was the end of it. And I knew where I was when I woke up. I knew it was in Ganapatapuli because I recognised the red rock. And I'd been to Ganapatapuli before in 1993.
When you say you recognize the red rock, were you near the temple that they made?
No, I was up by the camp where the
which is, but there's lots of red rock. Yeah.
And lo and behold, because my previous marriage had ended quite suddenly, and I although I hadn't been divorced, didn't divorce proceedings hadn't started, I was we'd separated. I was a free man. Yeah, and of course, there's another little story behind this, and on my first marriage, I was staying at Chelsea Road, whilst working at Ealing, and Chris was there, and he was looking after the ashram, and he was very wise because I had this real desire to get married. He said, Shankar, you be careful. You be careful what you desire. You don't want to get married. Believe me, you don't want to get married. You just be careful. Best thing is to be desireless. Go beyond, be detached, be desireless. Because I totally ignored him. You know, I was a young man. I was all fired up. You know, I wanted to get married. I wanted to get into family life. Didn't want to live on my own in a horse box anymore and all that.
And how old were you?
Well, then, it was 1993. Yeah, when I was working on Ealing, I was staying with Chris at Chelsea Road.
So you had this conversation and this desire in 1993
with Chris.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. 28, 29.
Yeah. And then of course I went on the
this led to your first
marriage. You see?
Yeah, this led to your first marriage.
Lasted 7 years, didn't work out. What I should have done, or in hindsight, was listen to what Chris was telling me, because I didn't, because I thought, you know,
Mother said that what you desire.
Yeah. Anyway, so that first marriage broke down, and then I was staying in Norbury on the rebound. I had the dream. I knew it was going to Patapuli. I was a driven man. I thought, right, that's it. I'm going to Ganapatapuli. I'm going to put my name down on the marriage list. It was on the same year. That breakup happened in autumn, December. Ganapatapuli. I was on the plane. I scrambled some money together from somewhere, and you know that I was like a one-track mind. You know, it was really in the real desire. And
well, it was like Mother's calling you. She's saying, "Okay, come on, get yourself to India."
Yeah, get yourself sorted out. You know, she said, it was almost as if she said, "Oh, don't worry, I'll sort you out with a nice girl."
Yeah.
I mean, not my first marriage wasn't nice, but it broke down. Anyway, so I'm there. I'm in the men's dorm, and we're all like sprucing ourselves up for the announcements as to who's going to marry who. You know, it's all at Shri Mataji's discretion, her vibratory and enlightened attention. She knows us all our past lives, all our horoscopes, how high we are, what colour skin we are, what we eat for tea. She knows everything. And you've got to have that faith, see? So, anyway, I'm getting spruced up. And I heard they're all they're saying, everyone, come to the Pendle at Ganapatapuli. It's going to be the marriage announcement. So I'm thinking, no, I'll just stay back in the men's dorm. I'll get myself prepared. I'll take me Sri Ganesh Shir, sort myself out, get detached. Then I'll go. So I turns up a little bit late. Well, not too late, but just before Shri Mataji didn't come up for that evening. But just before, as they were starting to announce, I turned up. And I don't usually sit up the front. I usually sit midway or up the back. But this time, I don't know what it was. I had to gravitate towards the front of the stage. And within about 3 minutes of me sitting down, they announced our names. And of course, Sushmita goes up. Sushmita Singh, Delhi, she goes up. Shankar from UK, he goes up. Come up from either side of the stage. Shri Mataji's not there, but the Sahajogi Indians, we did namaskar to her
Shri Mataji's throne.
Her chair, her throne. And because then you got the organisers, the Indian yogi organising it and doing the announcements. And we do namaskars, got lovely vibrations, and I get up from the thing and getting up from doing namaskar. And as we walk off together to the side of the stage, one of the organisers beckons us over, and he says, "Shankar, Mother said you can't get married until your divorce comes through." So I clocked it, and then we went off together as a couple, sat in the audience, and then the rest of the announcements, the marriages, and then there was a lovely music program and all that. And
the children from Shri Mataji School in Dharamshala, they used to perform as well for the music evenings those days.
Yeah.
So a couple of days went on. Ganapatipuli goes on for a bit longer.
But the question in all our minds is, did you recognize Sushmita from your dream?
Not at the time. This is interesting.
Okay, continue.
So we're sitting in the listening to the music, and then Sushmita turns to me, says, should we go for a walk? I'm thinking, bloody hell, what, already? Go for a walk together? I don't think we should do that, should we? But of course, we were matched, the divine had matched us. It was like an engagement,
Yeah.
And she always gave you like a bit of time to decide whether you wanted to go ahead with it,
Yeah.
So we went down to have a cup of tea down at the entrance of the Ganapatipuli camp and that, and chat and have omelette and all that. Get to know each other.
It's just I wanted to say that how the matches were announced and we were going just by vibrations, because in India divorce, even at that time when we did get married, was really rare and looked down upon. So you really didn't
so
marry.
for your father to let you marry a divorced man.
Yeah, and both my parents were with me on that Ganapati Pule. So this was just a very, very special, very significant trip. And none of us were actually expecting any outcome so far as marriage is concerned, least of all.
Even though your name was down, you weren't expecting a match, because there were many, many young Indian women, much more than could be matched.
Yes, as is the case most of the time, isn't it? So it was pretty far out and very special that my father and mother, my papa, mummy, were with me. My brother couldn't come because of work and stuff. He missed out, but we all used to attend pujas of Shri Mataji at Nirmal Dham together. Papa, mummy would come from Lucknow and we'd go offer puja to Shri Mataji. It's very, very special. So yes, give that background as well, because in India it was a big no-no at that time, but because it was Shri Mataji who had matched us and the vibrations meant everything. So the next step to cross was, I wouldn't have married him if he didn't get the approval of my parents, because as an Indian girl, you sort of, it's not even a thought. It's just there. It's just something that has to happen. So now you can take over.
Yeah. So
you go off for the walk.
Yeah, so we went off walk, we had a cup of tea, omelette, a bit of chat. I think that night we were out till about midnight, weren't we?
Till about 11:30.
Very relaxed about all this. I'm thinking,
working in Delhi, with the news magazines, I had a modern head on me. I wasn't the typical traditional Indian woman that one would imagine, I thought I was very with it and knew things. And I wanted to know if I wanted to spend the rest of my life with this person who I had no clue about apart from the vibrations. And of course,
I was looking quite tidy. I had smartened myself up.
Oh gosh, yeah, it was best foot, weren't you?
Yeah.
Everywhere.
So anyway, it pretty much gone midnight. I thought, blimey, we shouldn't. I had to get her back to a guest house where she was down back in the village again, Patapuli. Luckily, we got auto rickshaw, flew along, and we got her back, and then I went back to the camp, and then over a couple of days we went down to, or was it the interview then? Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, we went in the day, we went to the nursery, we went to the Swayambhu.
Yeah, the Sri Ganesha Swayambhu.
And then you had the meeting with Papa in the evening.
Yeah, so like all the couples, pretty much, you go and offer, make your offerings to Shri Ganesh. There's a Shri Ganesh mandir on the back of the beach, and then a little bit higher up on a very low-lying hill, there's Shri Ganesha Swayambhu, which is basically where the divine manifests in the Mother Earth. And you go there and you can see Shri Ganesha's head. It's probably about 2 meters by a meter and a half in a rocky relief, very low rocky relief, but you can clearly see his head,
Yeah.
his ears, his head, his trunk, and of course the Indians they cover the Swayambhu in a orangey red paint, orangey paint of respect, and offer flowers and incense and prasad. Because the Swayambhu is giving off vibrations,
Yes.
and even if an Indian is not realized, they still know that that's a very auspicious place. And I suppose unconsciously they're taking vibrations and blessings, but realized soul will be conscious of the vibrations, can really feel them.
Yeah.
But a non-realized soul will probably take something on unconsciously and out of bhakti, to Sri Ganesh. And so we do that, don't we? The typical sort of engaged couple. And evening comes, and of course it's time for my interview with my prospective father-in-law. And well, it's half light. I mean, there's the artificial lighting of the camp, and there's thousands of yogis there, mostly Indian. So I'm down on the main drag from the entrance of the camp up to the pandal, and there's a whole throng of yogis going backwards and forwards, going to their music program or coming away from the music program, and I'm in amongst them. And this yogini, I think she wasn't in this yogini sort of gets hold of me and says, "Oh, Shankar, Shishmita's waiting for you up there on the rise, just off to the side on the hills, up
Where
by
the fountain was.
Well, up by the men's pendle, one of the Indian men's pendle. It was
dining hall.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Anyway, she's waiting for you with her dad. And I mean, there was no coincidence. She'd recognized me in the throng. She picked me out. Said, "You better get up there." And I'm going, right, okay. So I'm smoothing my hair down. I'm going.
You had hair then.
Yeah,
A little bit more.
Up the sort of slightly rocky path track, up that low-lying hill. It's all a bit dark, but you got lights, artificial lights coming from the main drag. There's lots of yogis around, and then I approach Shishmita and her dad, and they're sitting down on the ground on the rise in the half light. And Shishmita's sitting on furthest from me on beside her dad. And I just knew from being to India before that you shouldn't look at a father's daughter directly. You've got to avert your eyes a bit, keep them down. So I just focused on my future father-in-law, Dr. Rudra Pratap Singh, North Indian from Ayodhya, and not look at his daughter. So I sat down next to him. There's him, and then there's Shishmita there, and the interview starts. So he asked about my education. So I passed that one with my geography degree. I didn't tell him what grade I got, which wasn't very good. So I passed that one. He's a very nice man. It's all very nice. And then he's saying, "What's your profession?" And I said, "Carpenter." And as a moment's pause, of course, if you're a carpenter in India, you're earning peanuts and you're maybe not so well respected as you should be, like a carpenter in this country. You can command a reasonable salary. So I said, "Carpenter." And then he said, "What's your income?" And I quickly threw in 16 grand a year, and I bumped it up a bit just to give a good impression because I wasn't earning that. But anyway, and he took that and ticked that box. And then, so a moment's awkward pause, and then my eyes went to Shishmita's feet. And she's sitting, not cross-legged, but with her knees tucked up. Her arms around her knees tucked up, and her toes were pointing out from her sari, and I looked at her toes, and then I noticed the sari she was wearing was a blue sari with the gold border. And then I looked up at her face and I remembered the dream, and it was her. And Sushmita means the one with the beautiful smile. And in the dream, she had a beautiful smile. It was a spiritual form. She was radiating love and gold light. And I remembered the dream in a flash. And I told my future father-in-law the dream. He said, "Okay, you can marry, no problem." That was it.
Oh, beautiful. See how mother sets you
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
Because you know, she knows if there's going to be difficulties or problems.
Yeah.
And when it's meant to be, she just knocks down all the barriers
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And you remembered it at the right time. That was
Right
the
time.
moment
Yeah.
to remember it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was it.
Oh, that is so beautiful. That's very
Yeah,
beautiful.
well, that's the divine for you.
Yeah,
And
amazing.
how long have you been married now?
Oh,
Oh, we got married in 2002. So yeah, it'll be
The
23.
next year
years.
after his divorce had so
yeah.
after his divorce papers had come through, you got married the next year.
Yeah.
So you had
We
an
got married
engagement.
in Sri Ganesh Puja in Kabela in 2002.
Oh,
Yes. So we had a 9-month
oh, how special.
engagement, which was nice, wasn't it? Because it gave us time to when
Yeah.
mobile phones had just come in. I had a flip Samsung mobile newly that my brother had helped me get it because he's tech savvy, I'm not. And then we would message from his Nokia. You would do it from Nokia. And in my meetings, because I was still working with India Today then, you know, I'd be quickly surreptitiously looking at the text
The
messages.
messages.
What is it?
Oh, it's so nice. That's so nice.
Yes.
That's really a lovely story.
yeah.
So 23 years you've been, or nearly 23 years, not quite. Yeah.
Yes, this
And
September.
2 children and family life.
Mm.
Yes.
Yes, Shri
Lots of
does it all.
blessings.
Yeah.
I mean, from someone, how I was when I was seeking as a young man in Devon to, was going to top myself to what God's done for me.
Yeah.
I just wanted to convey to any viewers, yogis, non-yogis, realize I was in the future, 10, 15, 20, 100 years in the future. And to my friends from Plymouth Poly, and to my family who bear with me. They got a lot of patience with me, my family. I'm so glad this opportunity to tell the truth, because I don't think I'm going to get it together to write a book. But I'm so glad for modern technology and Zoom, and for the collective, and eternally for Shri Mataji, of course, and God Almighty, my Father. And you know what? If we don't do this, we're not doing the divine any justice. We're not doing our own birth any justice.
We don't share. If we
It's
don't
not,
share.
yeah, and it's
Sharing the
not
joy.
easy. It's really not easy as a realized soul, someone practicing Sahaja Yoga. It's very difficult to convey that to non-realized people, like Mother did with us. It's better you just give them their self-realization and they ease themselves into it, they evolve into it. That's the way to do it. And all of these lovely online programs and all the public programs Sahaja yogis are giving across the world, they're just passing it on to and then hopefully one day we'll all be living in a lovely, beautiful blessings and peaceful world with beautiful divine vibrations, and how the divine wants it to be. I think one thing that I took very recently from a talk was, because I was like all of us, we get a bit worried about world affairs, what's going on at the moment, Ukraine war, what have you. And there's a talk, I heard it, and Mother said, "Do you really think God Almighty's going to stand by and let human beings destroy His creation?" I thought, there you go. Divine will step in, and is stepping in, and has stepped in.
So lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shankar Ji. And it's been such a pleasure to talk to you both and to actually be a part of a story. That is all thanks to Shri Mataji, really, for making it happen.
Yes.
And this
Jai Shri
beautiful
Mataji.
world that she has created for all of us. Jai Shri Mataji. Thank you.
Jai Shri Mataji. All right. Thank you.